This episode of Built in the West, the podcast, is proudly sponsored by Rustic Elegance Montana Living and Rustic Elegance Nevada Living, where Western values meet modern real estate expertise. Whether you're searching for wide open spaces, luxury homes, ranch property, investment opportunities, or your next chapter in Montana or Nevada, their team is dedicated to helping clients buy, sell, and build a legacy. More than real estate, it's a lifestyle, legacy, and the spirit of the West. Visit today at rusticeleganceproperties.com. And this podcast is also proudly sponsored by homemanager.io. Ever wish you had one place to keep track of everything about your home? Homemanager.io makes it simple. You can organize your home's maintenance, keep track of repairs, store important documents, and even build a full inventory of what's inside your home. It helps you stay on top of your home, avoid costly surprises, and feel more in control of one of your biggest investments. Check out homemanager.io and download the app on your favorite app store today.
Welcome to Built in the West, the podcast where we sit down with the builders, thinkers, entrepreneurs, and leaders shaping communities across America. Hosted by Jesse B. Lucero, this show brings real conversations, real stories, and real insight from people making an impact in business, real estate, finance, leadership, and beyond. In today's episode, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood benefits available to veterans today, the VA loan. Joining us is JC, an experienced mortgage professional who has helped veterans and military families across the country understand how to use their VA benefits to purchase homes, refinance, invest in real estate, and create long-term financial stability. From zero down payment opportunities to buying duplexes, triplexes, and even fourplexes, this conversation breaks down the myths, the strategies, and the real-life stories behind VA lending in plain English. Whether you're active duty, retired military, National Guard, Reserve, a surviving spouse, or simply want to better understand how VA financing works, this episode is packed with practical advice and powerful insight. Now let's get into the conversation with JC, right here on Built in the West.
JC, can you share your background as a loan officer and how you came to specialize in helping veterans?
Of course. So I grew up in a really small town, Lucero, Arizona. It's a border town with Mexico and Arizona. I always wanted to work in banking, and I finally got a job in Tucson working at a bank, at a big bank. But it turns out big banks don't do a lot of mortgages. People would come in, they would want a home loan, either to buy a house or to refinance a house, and we would turn them away. We would decline them, even though they had credit, income, and assets, like very well-qualified people, but we would have to turn them away. So I bumped into a friend of mine that I grew up playing baseball and basketball with. And he told me, hey, man, I do mortgages. If you're ever interested, here's my business card. And I told him, hey, man, I work at a big bank. I've tried to do mortgages, but, our bank is just super strict. He said, next time you've got someone you have to turn down, give me a chance to help them. Maybe I can get them approved. All right, awesome. So I sent over someone that we declined to him. Within 3 weeks, he closed the loan for them. They were super happy. They're like, man, we were looking for someone to help us. Your friend helped us out and made it so simple and easy. And he told me, look, man, you could have made this amount of money if you were working with me and if you were a licensed loan officer. So he offered me a job. I got licensed, and that's where my mortgage career started.
JC, what motivated you personally to focus on VA loans and VA benefits instead of just conventional lending?
I have nothing but love and respect for veterans. And it's not because I've actually had anything to do with the military. It's just people who are military have actually been a huge blessing to me in my life. And basically, I'm going to start all over, okay?
Yeah, well.
So I have a special love and respect for military people. Growing up, my mom took me out of one baseball team to get into another baseball team. The reason why, the coach was a Marine. She told me he's gonna discipline you. You're gonna be a winning baseball player, and that's what happened. We ended up winning championships 6 years in a row. The reason why, military discipline and becoming a good baseball player, because I just followed his discipline and his training. Growing up, I had I could tell you like three different teachers, and all three of them were military people. Marines, Army, and Navy. And all three of them were just super key to installing discipline, knowledge and respect for basically having a structured life that they learned that in the military. So I've got special love for coaches, teachers, and just friends of mine that are military people. So later on in life, when I started my mortgage career as an independent mortgage loan officer, the first loan that I actually did was for a veteran. I bumped into a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 10 years. Turns out he was a veteran. And the office that I was working out of specialized in VA loans. We had an in-house underwriter who was a veteran, and she was a veteran, and she specialized in VA loans. So one of the questions that came up for my friend, I just asked him, "Hey man, are you a veteran?" And he said, "Yeah, I haven't seen you in 10 years. It's like, "Yeah, man, I'm a veteran now. And I've heard good things about the program, but I don't know how it works." I learned the program inside and out. Huge benefits. 0% down payment, which they'll say it a different way, but it's 100% financing. It's a loan that has no mortgage insurance. And the interest rate is usually much lower than FHA, conventional, or any other program that's out in the market. The fact that I could get him into a house with basically nothing out of pocket, a few $100s out of pocket to buy a house, you see the benefit financially that the VA loan offers, but also you're serving a community that put their life on the line to protect our freedom. So it's a huge community. It's a really cool community that I've been blessed by. And if I can help a veteran into refinancing or buying a house using a VA loan, I'm more than happy to do it.
So, JC, for a veteran or a service member who has never used any VA benefits, where do you recommend that they start?
Find out where you are. One of the questions that we always have is, do you have your DD 214s? See what your eligibility is. See where you are, how long you've been enlisted, how long you served. Find out if those benefits are available to you already. That's VA specific. And apart from that, just having a good conversation, asking, how's your credit? How's your income? And do you have any money saved? You don't need a lot. So benefiting from a VA loan is something people should do as soon as possible.
So, JC, in simple terms, what is the VA loan and how is it different from a conventional or an FHA loan?
So a VA loan is only available to someone who is a veteran or is married to a veteran or is a widow to a veteran. A VA loan is only available for veterans, and the financial benefits that a VA loan presents far exceeds any other loan program on the market.
So you're saying active duty, National Guard, reservist, or even surviving spouses are eligible?
Correct.
So what about the certificate of eligibility, which is the COE? How does a veteran get it and where do they begin with this?
We can order it for you. It's free of charge. Part of our conversation, we have our processing department order all that information for you to make sure what you're entitled to. We find out what those benefits are, what your entitlement is, and we put together a game plan for you to take advantage of that.
Wow. Can you walk us through the steps of a VA loan from the first phone call with you to the closing day on the home?
The only other thing that changes compared to any other loan is us asking for DD 214s and requesting your certificate of eligibility. We're going to ask about where you've lived for the last 2 years, where you've worked for the last 2 years. We're going to ask for credit, income, and assets. So once we have that information, our processing department is going to reach out to the VA and get the certificate of eligibility and the needed information on your DD 214s. Once we've got that information in place, we take the steps to get you fully approved up front. So you're underwritten approved before you're out shopping for a house. We go over the simple numbers about this is what you qualified for, but what would your monthly payment have to be for you to feel comfortable buying a house at this point in time? And then that way we answer your VA questions, but we answer the real life questions. What's my monthly payment going to be? What's my estimated out-of-pocket cost going to be?
So what are the biggest homeownership advantages of the VA loan, such as the down payment, interest rates, mortgage insurance, etc.?
I think a lot of times we think, hey, do the math. I'm a math person. And in all honesty, I think if you tell a story, you'll learn a lot more of what the benefits are for a VA loan. A few years ago, let's say somewhere around 7 or 8 years ago, I did a VA loan for a customer of mine that was buying a fourplex in San Diego. He called me up and he said, "Hey man, there's this really cool house that's available, but it's a fourplex, meaning that it has 4 units. Using a VA loan, you can actually purchase a fourplex with 0% down payment, 100% financing." He said, "Hey man, it's on the market. It's at a really good price. I would live in one of the units and I would rent out the other 3 units." As anybody knows, San Diego prices are super high. It just happened that unit was at a very good price and just at the right time. So instead of coming out of pocket with 3.5%, 5%, or even 20% down as a down payment, he came out of pocket with a few $1,000s, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, because the seller covered all of the majority of the closing costs. Loan does not require a down payment, and the closing costs covered the funding fee as well. So could you imagine that you've got a loan that has a super low interest rate? It's got no mortgage insurance, and that results in a monthly payment being lower than any other loan that's out there in the market. Not only was it a super comfortable payment for the unit that he lived in, but also he's reaping the benefits from renting out the other 3 units as positive cash flow for the purchase of his home.
So, JC, you're telling me that using the VA loan, this person became an investor.
Right. And with a few $1,000s, I don't remember the exact number, but for $2,000 or $3,000, he had maybe $2,500 of positive cash flow coming into his account every month.
So, JC, how many times can he do this and keep repeating this process?
It depends. So every story is a little different depending on his eligibility and how much his entitlement is. But let's say, for example, he purchased that house and the story changes down the road. If he's got enough, he could, and the story changes, like let's say as a result of he was based out of San Diego, but if the military moves him somewhere else and he has to buy another house somewhere else and he's got the entitlement, he can actually get 2 VA loans. We have to go through the process to make sure that he qualifies and that he's able to get a second VA loan, but you are able to get a VA loan.
JC, many people hear 0% down and they think it's just too good to be true. What are the real pros and cons that 100% financing will do in their future?
The biggest part is it's available to veterans. So they put their life on the line to fight for our freedom. They get the benefit of 100% financing or 0% down payment. There is a funding fee involved with the purchase of a VA loan or using a VA loan, but it's there for you. We've done them. We've closed them all the time, like for a pretty long time. There is a funding fee involved, but if you've got a realtor who's aggressive and who's out to get you a good deal, it could be that the seller helps you out with closing costs and covers that funding fee for you.
So, JC, how do the VA rates compare to the conventional rates in today's market, and why does it matter so much for their monthly payments?
So when we pay a mortgage, we pay our prepaids in the mortgage itself, and it's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay, the principal is going to be the same loan amount as a conventional or an FHA loan. The interest is lower. On average, I've seen it'll fluctuate a little, but let's say we're a quarter point lower than compared to an FHA or conventional loan at any given time. But the added benefit is the fact that you don't have any mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is mortgage that you pay to protect the bank in order for you to buy a house with less than 20% down payment. The reason why a veteran's loan, VA loan, does not have mortgage insurance is because the government, the U.S. government, is backing the VA loan. They believe in the veteran. One of the benefits of being a veteran is a VA loan, but they're the ones backing the VA loan and don't require a 20% down payment to be without mortgage insurance on your mortgage.
So, JC, explain to us what debt to income ratios are and how they are treated on VA loans versus any other loan types.
So VA loans are super flexible. I think there's loans that I've done that I've completed that I've gotten approval for, that compared to an FHA conventional or any other type of loan, I could only get away with an approval using a VA loan. So debt to income program that allows you to go the highest in DTI in debt to income is a VA loan. Just to explain, you've got a certain amount of debt, which are your card payment, your credit cards, and any other debt that you may have. In relation to your income, there's a ratio that we determine. So there's not a set DTI limit on a VA loan as long as you get an approval, an automated approval, and we can get it completed. But we're talking about somewhere around 56 is what I've seen, but that doesn't mean you can't go any higher and get a loan approval for it.
So somebody with a high debt to income, does that complicate things for them with the VA?
If they qualify for a loan, the easiest way to get them an approval is with a VA.
Okay. So let's talk about interest rates. I mean, so JC, let's talk about credit scores, minimum credit scores, and how that affects their interest rate with a VA.
So on a VA loan, there's no minimum FICO score. The VA is super lenient. They're super flexible about getting approvals. If you don't have a FICO score, we can actually still get you approved for a VA loan. I've done manual VA loans where the veteran has the income, the assets to qualify, and he literally had no FICO score, and he still got an approval. No debt, no FICO score, and we still got an approval. What was needed was a rental history, which he had rented. We ordered a manual verification of rent. We ordered a verification of employment. He's got no debt. He just didn't have a FICO score. VA has no minimum FICO score in order to get an approval.
Okay, so what type of properties, so what type of properties can someone buy with a VA loan?
VA loan is super flexible. You can buy a single family residence, which is a detached home. We could use a VA loan to purchase a townhome, which is basically a single family residence attached to another unit to it. You could use it for a condo. You could use it for a duplex, a triplex, or even a fourplex. And also another program that's super, super flexible for the VAs to do is a manufactured home.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so you often hear VA is only for a primary residence, but then you just shared a story with me about a veteran that became an investor. What does VA primary residence mean? What does it mean in practice? How does hijacking with a 2 to 4 unit property work? Can you explain that again?
Of course. So just like I told you, I had a veteran that purchased a fourplex using a VA loan. So the benefit was that he came out of pocket with very little money. He had a low interest rate with no mortgage insurance, which results in a lower monthly payment. And on top of that, 4 units are paying him rent each month, which created a positive cash flow. Right price, right program, we put him in a great situation. All right. But let's say somebody's story changes in the future and he's deployed somewhere else, or now he's working out of another base. Hey, it's not his fault. He signed up to serve the military. The military needs him in a different place. Let's say he ends up moving to Tucson, where there's another military base or an Air Force base, and he has to work out of there. And he wants to buy another house. As long as he's got the entitlement, and he's got enough left over, he can use that remaining amount to buy a second home, a second purchase using a VA loan in Tucson.
So if a veteran uses a VA loan to buy a house and then a veteran loan to buy a house and later moves, can they keep the property as a rental and still use their VA benefits all over again?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the reason why is at the time of applying for his first VA loan, he signed documents saying that it's his intention to live in that home as his primary residence for the next 12 months, foreseeable 12 months.
Okay.
3 years down the line, somebody's story changes, and hey, they need him to work out of a different city. where he has to move his family. And when he purchased the fourplex, he was a single man, no kids, no wife. But later on, 3-4 years down the line, now he had a wife and 2 kids. He wanted to buy a house where he was stationed now. The story, pretty simple. Hey, man, at that time in my life, a fourplex was a good move. But at this time in my life and in my career, I need a single family residence with 3 beds and 3 baths. And basically, they're willing to help you with a second VA loan.
So how does a VA loan work if you have incurred debt and let's say you're looking to refinance so that you could pay off credit cards or any other type of loan? Are you able to refinance with a VA loan again?
Yeah, you can refinance with a VA loan. And basically, it really comes down to what the goal is that you're trying to accomplish. It could be as simple as, I just want a lower interest rate. I bought a house. I've seen that rates have improved. There's one type of VA loan, which is called an ERL, an interest rate reduction refinance, where all we're doing is reducing your interest rate. And very, very little closing costs are involved in that type of loan. And it's for that reason alone. Hey, they bought at a certain interest rates have improved, we'll just lower their rate. An ERL is a great option for that. But if you're looking to refinance a home, VA loans have the ability to roll in some of the debt that you're trying to consolidate into your mortgage and would give you the option to save a lot more by rolling it all into one mortgage and saving you, at times hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month on monthly payments.
So what about if somebody wants to use a VA loan for renovation or rehab? Okay.
That's also an option. We have a VA renovation loan. Tell you a quick story. I had a customer that wanted to renovate his home. As a veteran, he was in a wheelchair as a result of his military service. So he had his bathroom renovated to his needs because he was in a wheelchair. He had his kitchen renovated to his needs. And actually his backyard, which had like special saunas and pools and stuff, he used that money to renovate his loan to his liking. He served our country. For us to get him the right VA loan that allowed him to refinance it and take care of those renovations to better suit his life is awesome, man. And you see how happy they are. Like, you call them on their birthday a year or two later, and they still remember, hey, man, the renovation loan that you did for me, it changed my house, the house that I lived in, but it actually changed my life, man. It makes my life so much more easier to live in.
So JC, for those that are looking to sell their homes at the moment, how competitive is a VA loan offer in today's market from the sellers and the listing agents' perspective? And what can your team do to make VAs buyers stand out?
So one thing I would say is that veterans are super, super, super disciplined. And working in the military atmosphere, like, you don't have a choice. You have to wake up early. You have to be disciplined. I mean, so you are property of the U.S. government. And when they come out of serving the government and they go into, private industry and they're working as a civilian here in the U.S., they take that into whatever they're working in. So they're super well qualified. On average, make pretty good salaries. There's a lot of industries that pay very well. They make good money, good income. They've got great credit. They're well qualified. The only thing that's been like a pain in the past, or that has concerned certain listing agents to take a VA loan, is their appraisal. But in all honesty, sometimes we get VA appraisal waivers where we don't even need an appraisal. And compared to anything else, in the last few months, I've actually seen my VA loans come in higher than the actual sales price and not be as conservative as they once were rumored to be.
So JC, how long does it take to close a VA loan compared to a conventional loan in your experience?
In the past, they were rumored to take longer, but honestly, we do all the upfront work. It's easy for us to close it quick and easy. On average, a usual escrow is 30 days. We've closed them in or even 21 business days. It's pretty simple. Nothing that you can't close within the standard closing date that the real estate contract demands.
So you've done a lot of work with us in Nevada with our sales team and our brokerage. What can you share as a success story where using a VA loan made a huge difference for a veteran or a family military member?
I remember doing a loan for a guy that came in to my office, and you could tell he was kind of like really urgent to get a loan. I told him like, "Hey man, you're pretty quick to bring everything that we needed. I called you earlier today. You wanted to meet today. You brought everything, man. Like, what's so urgent about you buying a house?" He told me, "Look, man, my girlfriend's pregnant. She told me that if I don't get a house, she's leaving me and not letting me see the kid. I never had a dad, and I really want to be a part of my son's life. I'm, I'm doing everything that I can on my end to make sure that you get me into a home so I can enjoy my future son." And to me, that made that motivated me to close the loan as quick and as easy as possible. Right. But a lot of times in life, I think we have the idea of why we started doing something and then we forget. But let me tell you, like, we got everything ordered that same day. The realtor was super motivated, got him into contract that same weekend, and we closed the loan simple and easy. But when you hear somebody's story of like, "Hey man, I'm going through a change in my life and I want to make this happen as soon as possible." To me, that wasn't just a house. That was him starting his life.
Wow, what an emotional story. What are some of the myths or misconceptions real estate agents or sellers have about VA loans that you wish you could erase forever, JC?
Number one, the appraisal's not going to come back low. In many, many occasions, especially during these last few months, I've actually seen VA loans come back higher than the actual even purchase price of the property. So if the appraisal is something that scares a listing agent, forget about it. That's no longer the case. They are very fair. And I think VA loans are very fair in today's market. I mean, it's going to be valued correctly. That's number one. Number two, a veteran is super well qualified. Those people went into an organization that instills discipline in them. They pay their bills. They've got great credit. They're well qualified.
Okay. So outside of home loans, what are some of the key VA benefits veterans are leaving on the table that you see all the time?
I think if they use it as an investment, like just a simple example, but buying your first investment property with a VA loan is huge. And I think not too many people take advantage of it by buying like a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. I think that's huge. That's something that I've seen firsthand, where to get into a good real estate investment with a few $1,000s to benefit from it for the rest of your life, I think that's amazing. I mean, not too many people can tell you that they invested $2,000 or $3,000 into something, and now they've got $2,500 of positive cash flow every month coming into their bank account. That's basically like him having a part-time job without having to really do it, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. So can somebody buy using the VA and then turn around and rent the property, or do they have to live in it for so long?
It really depends. By like ballpark figure, or the rule is you have to live in it for 12 months as your primary residence before renting it out. So you could be a veteran. You bought your first property, VA. If your story doesn't give us the ability to get you a second VA, you can buy it with an FHA. You can buy it with a conventional loan. Rent out your current VA loan, the home that you have a VA loan with, and buy another one using an FHA or conventional loan.
So you could be buying a property every 12 months, and as long as you live there for 12 months. So how does home ownership through the VA loan program fit into a veteran's long-term financial and retirement strategy?
I think real estate is the biggest investment any U.S. citizen or any person makes in life. Setting them up in a loan program that has lower interest rates or mortgage insurance results in a lower monthly payment. Whether they determine or whether they choose to live in it or rent it out, monthly payment is going to be much lower than anything else on the market, which makes it a lot more profitable than it would be to purchase that home compared to any other mortgage product out there.
For someone transitioning out of active duty, what can they do? For someone transitioning out of active duty soon, what can they do to get ready to use the VA loan in the next 6 to 12 months?
Number one, I would ask them about their their DD 214s. Make sure that you have that in place and to make sure that you are eligible for a VA loan. That's number one. Number two, I would ask them about preparing their credit. Have you paid your bills on time? Do you have any open lines of credit? And make sure that their credit is as high as possible, because a little bit of upfront work on credit can save you thousands over the life of a loan and make loan approval a lot easier for you upfront. Number two, I would ask them about what they're doing for a living. Hey man, if they're no longer going to work in the military, what are they going to do now for a living? So what are they going to be working in? Maybe their background in the military position them to get a really good paying job. What their military pay is in the past is one thing, but what they're going to make in the future could be life changing. Hey man, I became an attorney. Hey, I'm going to, work in the medical field because the military prepared me to work in this field. Could be that they get a job with a technology company, a defense company, and they end up making much more because of what they learned in the military. Now they're making way more money in the private industry. Credit, income, assets, and their eligibility when it comes to the VA are the main things that we go over if they have the goal of buying a home in the future.
So, JC, how can spouses or family members support the process, especially when service member is deployed or frequently away?
I would say the biggest part is making sure that their credit is on point and the bills get paid. A lot of times these people aren't, you're in the military. You're not by a computer when you want to be. You're not as easy and available to pay bills on time. Make sure that the bills get paid on time. That's number one. Number two, you as your spouse, take care of your credit as well. You're going to be on the loan. The higher your FICO score is, the higher the opportunity for us to get you a better interest rate and better terms on your mortgage.
What local or online resources do you recommend for veterans who want to learn more about their benefits in plain English?
Give us a call. We're more than happy to walk you through the process, but because we've got a program that we go through where we get VA certified. Not only do we have the certification, but we got the experience in the past of helping a bunch of veterans into a home or helping them refinance their home. We're a phone call, a text message away. Honestly, there's nothing like talking to a friend that's been there, done that, and can actually offer you some good ideas. I think Google is always handy on your phone or on your computer, but actually having a real conversation that's going to hear your full story and that has the experience that we do doing mortgages is the best option.
Okay. So tell us about your company. I know that you work a lot with our team in Nevada, and then you also do Arizona, California. But what happens to the other states that you personally are not licensed in? How do you still work with?
So my company is licensed all over the U.S. We can do a loan in any U.S. state, and we can help you complete a purchase or a refinance in any U.S. state. That's number one. But the biggest part that we do is education. We educate your realtor to make sure that we can negotiate the very best terms for you when it comes to purchasing. And if you have a realtor who knows the benefits of a VA loan, they're going to fight to get you all those benefits as much as possible. Could be just getting you a good deal on seller contributions because they know how much you can benefit from that. On a VA loan, it's huge. It's something that they could save you thousands or even tens of $1,000s on a purchase.
Okay. So, JC, I have some rapid fire questions for you. So just quick questions, quick answers, okay? Fixed rate or adjustable rate?
Fixed.
Biggest myth about VA loans in one line?
A veteran is very well qualified, so your appraisal is going to come back at value.
One thing real estate agents consistently misunderstand about VA offers?
Down payment, low standard or low qualified borrower is not true.
If rates drops a full percent from today, which VA option do you think most vets should consider first? Purchase, cash out, or streamline refi?
Earl. It depends whether you own a home or you're buying a home, but if you have a VA loan, get an Earl as soon as possible. Dropping your interest rate 1 full point is a big deal for a lot of people.
So what is one common mistake most veterans make before talking to a loan officer? Let me say that again. JC, what's one common mistake veterans make before talking to a loan officer?
not getting a fully underwritten approval up front. We do that on every deal that we do to make the process as simple and easy. I had a loan that someone wasn't even qualified for a VA loan, but they were shopping around at a bunch of different places, and I had no commitment from him. So I pulled credit. I had his income documents, but he never showed any commitment, and they went out shopping with someone else, and they lost their earnest money deposit because the loan was not fully approved, and he didn't serve enough time as a veteran to actually benefit from a VA loan. He didn't qualify.
Also, JC, here's another question. Does somebody have to have a honorary discharge in order to qualify, or can they qualify with a dishonorary discharge?
It's a matter of looking at your story and making sure that you have your entitlements and your certificate of eligibility completed up front before you're out shopping for a home.
What is the most creative way you've seen someone use their VA benefit?
A big loan that I did, and a very well-qualified veteran. And I remember the story because the numbers kind of line up, but I had a guy that was a pilot for planes and also a pilot for helicopters. They made very good money, and it was, had a really big down payment if needed. But he purchased the home for $1.7 million. And his interest rates, when rates were lower, just like I said, VA loans are lower than anything else and don't have an actual loan amount limit. He purchased a home for $1.75 million, and his interest rate was 1.75 as well.
Wow. That is unheard of.
That's why I remember it, because the numbers are the same and they're super high on purchase price and super low on interest rate.
So what was that monthly payment?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Compared to anything else in that purchase price, it's lower. And on top of that, 100% financing. He didn't pay for a down payment.
Incredible. So JC, one hot take about VA loans that other lenders might disagree with.
It's not extra work. It's just extra verification up front. And it's an awesome program compared to any other program out in the market.
So, JC, finish this sentence. If you're eligible for a VA loan and you're renting right now, you should at least consider buying if
you're paying rent, if your credit is on point, and if you got a few extra $100 in your bank account.
So, JC, as we close, for veterans listening who feel overwhelmed, what is the simplest first step they can take after this episode?
I'll give you a coaching call to get you prepared to buy a house when it's the right time for you.
So, and JC, how can people reach directly if they want to explore their VA options or just ask a few questions?
Give me a quick call. My phone number is 520-249-2245. I'm here to listen to you and listen to your story. There could be a few tips and tricks that I tell you, information that we get you prepared in order to make the buying process the simplest and easiest thing you've ever done.
And again, does it matter what state they call you from?
Not at all. We can do VA loans in any state in the U.S.
Well, JC, I really appreciate your time today, and thank you for taking such well care of our veteran community, JC.
I love taking care of veterans. They fight for our freedoms. I can fight for their mortgage loans.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Thank you for tuning in to Built in the West.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
Out where the mountains meet the sky so wide, where dust and dreams still ride side by side, where builders rise before the dawn and leaders stand when hope feels gone. From ranch roads to the city lights, from oil rigs to startup nights, there's a spirit here you can't outguess, the kind of grit that's built the West. This is built in the West, where the bold invest, where the dreamers ride and the thinkers test, where opportunity knocks and the fearless say yes. The builders, the thinkers, the leaders of the West. Some build empires out of steel and stone, some build ideas the world has never known, some build businesses from the ground with nothing but a vision. stubborn sound. They risk, they rise, they learn, they fall, then saddle back up and answer the call. Because the frontier never left our chest. It's alive in the heart that's built in the West. This is built in the West, where the bold invest, where the dreamers ride and the thinkers test, where opportunity knocks and the fearless say yes. The builders, the thinkers, the leaders of the West. It's the rancher, the founder, the risk taker too, the coder, the banker, the ones breaking through. It's the towns, the ideas, the future inside, where the frontier lives on in the minds that ignite. This is built in the West, where the vision runs deep, where the brave chase the fire others never could keep, where the frontier lives on in the hearts of the best. The builders, the thinkers, the leaders of the